Something that is symmetrical is something that looks the same. It mirrors itself on both sides. If it is symmetrical, it could have a line of symmetry down its middle, and both sides would be the same. When something has radial symmetry, that instead of a line, it has a center point from which everything is symmetrical around it. So now I'm going to show you how to make a piece of artwork that has radial symmetry. And as usual, all you really need is a piece of paper and pencil, but it would be great to have a pair of scissors. That's going to make one quick part of your life easier. And it'd be really great to have some kind of a marker or Sharpie. But again, none of those two things are not totally necessary. Okay, so first we need to get our paper to be a square shape. So the trick I have for doing that, maybe you just have a square piece of paper. Great, use that. But if you don't, then you could still take a regular piece of paper and you're going to fold a corner down until it's lined up at the bottom. So try to get a nice point over here. Hold it still, and then with your other hand, smooth it out. Now is where we're going to cut off this extra paper. Let's say you truly don't have a pair of scissors in your house. If you fold it along here and fold it back and forth, then you can carefully tear it away. But I hope you have a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut this away. Boop, 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 boop. Trim, trim, trim. Don't need our scissors anymore. Now we're going to open it up, and we're going to make a fold the other way. Make sure those tippy tips touch. Hold it. Other hand. Slide out. Lovely. Ready to go. Okay, so now we want this to have radial symmetry. So remember, an example of something with radial symmetry might be like a pizza pie. That's kind of the classic. So we're going to only be dealing for now with one slice of this square pizza pie. We're going to draw some kind of an interesting design. So originally that was just this little first triangle of mine. I like to start in the little corner here. That's just me. You could start anywhere really. And a few tips that I have, I'm going to switch straight to Sharpie so you can really see what I'm doing easier, is not to do it in insanely tiny detail. I mean, hopefully you know yourselves as artists by this age. So I have a few kids in mind who would probably make really amazing, highly detailed, intricate ones, but you have to trace it for 3 other times, and so that's a lot. Kind of know yourself, and it can still look really good without tons of detail, but you do want to fill up the space and maybe do kind of simple shapes. Sometimes teachers get creative block too. I'm kind of thinking, oh, so one thing I wanted to show you is this is one of our lines of symmetry. So maybe you want to do something like I did a heart in my example, where you do half of it knowing that it's going to turn in to a full heart over there. You could do that on both sides like I did in my example. Maybe I'll try to like kind of make up a shape underneath it and see what happens. That'll be interesting to see reflected over here. Now I'm going to do some kind of triangle shapes. So this one is a little wilder. On this one, I kind of tried to keep it actually somewhat symmetrical, even just within the triangle shape that I did. I'm going a little looser here. I'm being a little more free form. So along that line, I'm going to use some kind of more organic shapes instead of being as geometrical as I was before in that example. Filling up my whole space, but with kind of medium-sized shapes. Nothing is like teeny tiny. I'm not too big. I'm not just doing some quick messy scribble. But you can do this with pencil first and make mistakes and erase. But I really recommend that you go over it in Sharpie for your first square. It's going to help you trace it now for part 2, which we're going to cut to right now. Hey artists, I put on a special t-shirt for you. It's Van Go Away. Because when I go on walks right now, I'm polite, but I want people to go away right now. All right, well, let's get started. So you have made one section of your radial symmetry. So now what you're gonna do is you're gonna find a window in your house, and ideally you wanna do this at a time of day where it's as bright outside and a little darker inside. That's gonna turn your window like into a light box basically. And now come on a little closer. What you're gonna do is you need to make sure that you flip your paper kind of like I'm doing now, so that you don't want to go this way, because then when you trace, you're going to trace on the wrong side of your paper. So watch what I do. And if you do that, actually, it's not the end of the world. You'll just have to do it again. So don't worry if you do that. Artists, you need to use a pencil for this part. You can go over it afterwards in Sharpie, but I do not want to be responsible for angry families who have Sharpie on their windows. So your 4th and 5th graders, do not use marker. You need to use a pencil. Okay, and then this part is straightforward. You're tracing. So you're tracing what you did in one section into a new section. I'm going a little quicker than you need to, because I don't want to lose your attention. You might hear some lawnmowers going outside. You could stop and look at how beautiful it is out there, although don't get distracted and draw the wrong thing. And you can see why it was important that I didn't draw too many teeny tiny things or make this overly complicated, because that's going to make your life a little difficult. So now I've got the start of my radial symmetry. I hope the rest is obvious. I'm not going to walk through every single section, but you would keep going. So you, oh boy, you don't have to do that part, but you would flip it down to this section and trace there. And then once you go back over this with Sharpie or marker, it'll be ready to trace. Now look at that. It's still possible to trace with pencil if you only want to leave this all in pencil. Remember I said everything can be done just paper and pencil. It's just a little harder, that's all. So once you're done, I'll show you what it'll look like when it's all radial symmetrical. Thanks. So there you have it. This is what your, something like what your artwork should look like now. It's got radial symmetry going on. And the other thing that I love about it is that if you do have some markers or something to color with, this is like a fabulous thing to add color to. If you don't, and you just use pencil or a black pen that you have at home to add, you can add still some great contrast to it by filling in lots of spaces all black, leaving some white, and it's still going to look great. But if you'd like to add some color, go for it.